So in in this video, I want to talk to my viewers about some stuff right now. And it says in front of me, and there's a piece of paper that says "Proving good things about me from 2005 to 2009. Must see this. Must see this." For YouTube, my video will be called, I think, something like this. This video will be called something like this: "Proving good things about me from '05 to '09. Please see all comments and full video." Anyway, in this video, I will talk about stuff. I'll prove to my viewers, things from the past. From 2005 to 2009. And there are a couple of good things that I used to have. Some good stuff that I used to have about me back then. Sadly, I think I don't have those stuff right now. But some of them I still do. I think I still do. You just keep watching this video and then you realize what I'm talking about. I want to say a few things before you and right now. First thing is, please watch the full video and the highest quality. Please watch the full video, that before then make conclusions about things. And also watch the video in the highest quality that you can get it into, anywhere from 144p to, I think it goes up to as high as 1080p. And please read all the comments and also write down your own comments. I would really like that. And also read the video description box. If my voice gets too high in any part of the video, then just turn the volume down. And this video will be long, and and it's near impossible to make a long video without making any mistakes while speaking. But if I do make any mistakes speaking, I will point that out in the comment section. So that is another reason as to why you must read all the comments. And anyway, from January, from January 2005 to May 2009, a lot of interesting stuff was happening to me. A lot of people not connected to each other was saying and also doing a lot of interesting stuff to me. And in this video, I will prove that kind of stuff to my viewers. Just keep watching. And I will use screenshots to prove stuff, because that is the best way I can best physical proof that I have of things. Sadly, I don't have any better physical proof than screenshots. So I will use screenshots to prove stuff. So the first screenshot, is from this person here. It's this guy. He went to school with me. I've known him for a very long time. He was a very cool and popular and very nice guy who went to school with me. And I remember, I told him that a lot of interesting stuff was happening to me for 4.5 years. And in high school, I was people not connected to each other were giving me all this kind of attention. And in at school, I was not Mr. Cool, Mr. Popular, but I was not weak or outcast type either. So there was no reason for people to pretend stuff. I'll tell my viewers what happened here. I remember that way back in 12th grade, this particular guy was in one of my classes. And I remember that one particular day that the teacher was taking attendance, and all of a sudden my name came up, and the teacher said my name, and there was one girl in this class, who said ooh, and then she said ooh, and then she said my name, and then she said, he's in this class, oh yeah. And then this guy was like, yeah, he cute, ain't he? And I told this guy, people not connected to each other were giving me this kind of attention. And I just want to know if it's true or not. I asked him if he still remembers, this kind of stuff. And this is what he had to say to me. He said, I showed him some proof also. People, I blacked out stuff. You're probably wondering what those are. Those are screenshots. I showed this guy proof of people giving me attention and stuff, and also proving stuff. And then he replied to me saying, I remember vaguely. And he said my name. And then he said, it's been a long time, and you still are a good looking guy, bro. So basically, he replied to me. And this was, I think in last year. I think I messaged this guy on Facebook, and told him, and this stuff was happening to him, and I asked him things. And basically, he said this to me. I think, most likely from, from January 2005 to June 2006, a lot of people not connected to each other, that I was a nice looking guy. And I think even from 10th grade to 12th grade, some people thought about me like, but this guy said, you still are good looking. But I also remember that last year I messaged another person on, from my school, and oh, I'm so sorry, these screenshots. This guy, I remember that way back in 10th grade, sophomore year, this guy came up to me in the lunchroom, 10th grade, sophomore year, to me in the lunchroom. And this is some other guy. This guy was also a very cool and popular, very nice guy. He also went to school with me. In fact, the guy from the last screenshot also was very cool, very popular, very nice guy, and so is this guy. And I remember that way back in 10th grade, he came up to me in the lunchroom once, and he's like, "What up, player?" You probably figured out what he said before the player. You probably figured out what the word he said before the for calling me a player. He said said this to me in the lunchroom in 10th grade, and I told him that I was getting this kind of attention for 4.5 years. And I just want to know what's the truth. And I asked him if he still remembers this. He replied saying, "Yes, I remember calling you that. I meant it, of course. This is life, man. There are good times and bad times. We all have bad times. You just have to push through it. Things will get better. They always do. God has plans for us all. These things happen for a reason." So, and this was last year. I asked this guy last year. By the way, and some of the other people who went to school with me, this next two screenshot is from some other kids who went to school with me, some other guys, who went to school with me, because at my school I was not cool or popular, but I was not weak or outcast either. I was in the middle. But there were other the screenshot that I'm showing you to my view right now in front of me is from one of the guys who went to school with me, and his nationality was similar to mine, and I think he also was in the middle. He was also in the middle, regular guy just like me. But he told me that people at school used to call him, terrorist all the time. By the way, I think this is a really mean thing to do, but his guy's nationality is similar to mine, and he told me that people at school used to call him terrorists all the time. So you have to wonder why is that people, not connected to each other, including people at school, were calling me stuff like player and stuff, but at the same time calling some of the other regular guys from the same nationality as me bad stuff like terrorists and stuff. So what could be, why were they treating me better? By the way, I feel bad for anyone who gets bullied or anything, or anyone who gets name called. I'm against that kind of stuff. And another guy who I talked to, this guy's also nationality was similar to mine. He told me that he got bullied, I think, quite decent amount of times from second grade to 12th grade. As far as myself is concerned, in school, I was not treated right all the time. There were times when even I myself got treated badly when people said or did some mean things to me. But I think, compared to some of the other regular guys from whose nationalities are similar to me, I got treated better, especially from second half of eighth grade to 12th grade. And I think because there were certain things about me that people liked and noticed, and that's why they treated me better. The screen, the last two screenshots, are from some guys who went to school with me, and their nationality was the same, and they were also regular guys at school, and I got treated better than them at school. I think I got treated better than them at school. Anyway, this next screenshot is from will prove that I'm really a bold person. A tough and bold person. I've never been a weak or outcast type, and even I've always been a tough and bold person. Like I remember this girl who I'm talking with, who I chatted with, she went to, I mean, she used to work at the same place as I do, and she doesn't anymore. She quit there some time ago, but she used to work at the same place as me. And there was one female manager at our workplace who everyone used to fear, and this female manager, her name started with the letter P and C, and another male manager had actually hired me, and they both were very nice people, most times, and I'm also grateful for them for hiring me. They were nice to me most times, but sometimes they were a little tough on me, and I think that maybe because they had hired me, so they probably thought they had a right to be tough on me, which is okay. But I remember that this one time, this female manager, who name started with the letter P, once tried to write me off on her off day, and I sweared at her, and everyone used to fear her, and I told this girl, that I once sweared at someone who everyone feared, and I'm very bold, and by the way, I do regret that because she did hire me, and she and that male manager were nice to me most times, and then she said, you probably read what I said, she said I'm a pretty tough person. By the way, I've always been a very bold person. Even in school days, I said and did quite a few bold things. Like once in 10th grade sophomore year, I was once playing tag or flag football in gym class, and I got hit once. A bigger guy hit me in the nose while I was trying to score a touchdown. A bigger guy hit me in the nose while trying to stop me, and I fell down on the ground and I was bleeding and stuff. But despite that, I still got up and played, and I did not cry or anything. So I've always been a tough and bold person. Even today, I'm very tough and bold from the inside. Even today, I mean, my whole life I've been a very tough and bold person. Tolerated a lot of pain. So, so I was not no weak or outcast type, even, so there was no reason for people to pretend to do things, I mean, if you're like a weak or outcast type, then people will pretend to be nice to you because they feel sorry for you, or worse, they're playing a joke on you. But I was not no weak or tough or weak outcast type. So you have to wonder, why people not connected to each other were calling me player and stuff like that, and treating me, better than some of the other regular South Asian guys, for 4.5 years. What could be the reason? And I also have an amazing memory, and I'll prove that. Like in 2019, December 2019, I was talking to some girl who went to school with me, and I told her that, this girl was in my ninth grade first semester Spanish class, which ended in early January 2006. And I still remember so many people from this class, and she was surprised. And so she said, "Oh my God, how do you remember that?" I still remember 10 to 20 people from some of my classes, still, which is amazing because school ended for me way back in, 2009. I remember there were two Laurens in that class, Alexa, a Kostrom, a Christina, Sarah, some guy whose first name started with the letter J A, but I heard all the rest of the letters of his first name to hide his identity because me and this person did not get along sometimes. I was immature with them, so I'm not sure how they would feel about me talking about them. There was also a Chris, a Tyler, a Princess, a Derek, a Jenny, a Talia, some black girl Jasmine, possibly a Katie was in that class too, and also a Carrie Ann was in that class. There was also a girl named Erin who passed away, like I think like something like 9 years ago, sadly. There was also a Nick in that class. There was also a Floyd in that class. There was also possibly a girl named Kristen in that class, and I was also in that class. I will reveal my own identity in this video. Just keep watching, and I have a feeling that by now many people who watch my other videos, who have seen my other videos, probably know who I am by now. And my memory is very good. I can still remember 10 to 20 people from my some of my classes, so which is amazing because school ended for me way back in 2009. And my memory is also very accurate. Like this particular screenshot is from last year. I was talking to one of my male cousins, on Facebook, and I asked him if he still remembers buying Zoo Tycoon for my birthday in January 2006, as well as buying Sims and Age of Empires for my birthday in 2005, and he does remember this. And I also remember that I think, Avril Lavigne was in that Sims game as a guest character. So he was not playable, but he was still in this game, and and he said you had a crush on her, and which is true. I did like Avril Lavigne way back in early 2005. Eighth grade, I did have a crush on her for some time period, and this cousin of mine remembers this. So both me and this male cousin of mine, from the screenshot, we both have an amazing memory. We still recall so many things from many years ago, and then I was telling him, that this one time I was playing the Sims game at my place, and he was also at my place, and Avril Lavigne appeared in that game for a moment as a guest character, and that's your girl, and he still remembers this. So yeah, and this chat was from last year, and then I'll show more chat that will prove my memory really is amazing. Like it's very accurate too. Like I remember way back in, ninth grade, summer 2006. After ninth grade had ended, summer 2000, after ninth grade had ended, in summer 2006, I was talking to this guy, on AIM chat. This guy is actually a friend of the cousin from the last two previous screenshots. And anyway, we were talking to each other in summer 2006. In 2006, I was talking to him after Dwayne Wade had led the Miami Heat to a title, and I was telling him that maybe LeBron can possibly do the same thing, and he replied, "No, LeBron can't because he doesn't have the scoring moves of Jordan, Bryant, or Wade." This was on AIM chat, and he said, at that point, I agreed, meaning I think that was the case. He got better, though. Then I asked him if he remembers this chat, though. He's like, not specifically, but then he replied, but it matches an opinion I held back then. So my memory is very accurate, because he remembers, that this matches an opinion he held back then. He doesn't remember the chat, but he remembers the opinion he held back then, which proves my memory is very accurate. In fact, it is so accurate that I can, and my memory is so accurate and so good that I can still recall conversations, both conversations and chats, both in person as well as online, from many years ago. This includes chats between me and another person, as well as conversations between other peoples, So I do remember many things from many years ago. And I also will prove that in school I was not indeed, I was in the middle. I was not no cool or popular kid, but I was not no weak or outcast either. I was in the middle. I had 10, 15 good friends, and I also had many acquaintances, and most people, including most cool and popular people, were nice to me most times. And I think that may be because of the good things that they noticed about me. Like this particular kid, he went to high school with me. He was a very cool and popular guy, and he invited me to his graduation party in 2009. You're probably wondering, how do I have the screenshot from such a long time ago? Well, on my my email that I use for my Facebook, I never I rarely ever delete stuff on this email, and that is how I still have so many things from the past saved. So, and this was another cool and popular guy who invited me to his graduation party in 2009. This guy was not as cool as popular as the last kid, but he also was more cool and popular than me, and he also invited me to his graduation party in 2009. And this another screenshot is from another kid at school who was more cool and popular than me, and who also invited me to his graduation party. So in school, I was not no weak or outcast type. I was not cool or popular, but I was not no weak or outcast either. I was in the middle, you know. And I last year, I was talking to another one of my friends, and I asked him if he, I told him that I was getting all this attention from so many people not connected to either. I asked him if he remembers me either being a nice looking guy or at least decent looking in ninth grade. He's known me since ninth grade, and he replied, "You were fine, but nothing super good looking, decent." And then in this another screenshot, I asked him, once again, if he remembers either being a nice looking or decent looking, and then he said, "I swear to God, I recall you were normal, decent looking." And this guy's known me since ninth grade, and he said that he remembers me being at least decent looking in ninth grade. And then I told him, "Do you believe that once upon a time, girls liked me, or that a lot of people not connected to each other thought I was nice looking and stuff like that?" And he said, "Yes, I do." And now I will say one thing to my viewers, which is that I swear to God, Jesus, Allah, Buddha, and my soul, that from now on, from this point on, which is in this video, which for me, which will be from 15 minutes and 46 seconds or something like that, I will tell truth and nothing but the truth. So I swear to God, Jesus, Allah, Buddha, and my soul, that from now on in this video, I will say the truth and nothing but the truth, which is that from January 2005 to to sometime in June 2006, which for me was from second half of eighth grade to the end of ninth grade, many people not connected to each other either thought that I was a nice looking guy and or that I had something interesting going about me during this time period. In fact, I remember during this time period, a lot of people not connected to each other used to stare at me, sometimes even with intensity, and I also got checked out decent amount of times, and decent amount of girls either liked me and or showed interest in me, and a lot of people not used to say nice stuff to me in person, as well as about me to each other in person, and sometimes and sometimes even online people said nice stuff to me. And now and I will also use screenshots from the past to prove stuff. This first screen, before I do so screenshots and tell things in detail, I'll say one thing, which is that I swear to God, Jesus, Allah, Buddha, and my soul, that I remember that way back in eighth grade, in early 2005, and in early 2005, there was one, I had history class, and there was this one girl in my history class, she was very attractive and popular, and she used to like me. In fact, but before she first used to like another guy she used to like another guy, and this guy was also in this class. But later on, this girl started liking me, and she was very attractive and popular girl, and I also used to like her in return. But sadly, I used to ignore her though, and the main reason why I used to ignore her is because she had a boyfriend who wasn't, and her boyfriend was in that class, and also at that time I was shy type, and also did not really know how to behave, especially including around girls. So for that reason I ignored her, and I feel very sorry about this, because I think this girl felt very sorry about the fact that I ignored her, and I also feel very sorry for ignoring her. And I also will say one more thing, which is that I swear to God, Jesus, Allah, Buddha, and my soul, that I remember the ones, in summer 2005, me and the cousin, from the screenshots about the screenshots, about proving my memory, that I have an excellent memory, the screenshots, which I talked about Avril Lavigne. Anyway, me and that cousin, once had gone to Papa Joe's together, and also my brother had also came with us. So I swear to God, Jesus, Allah, Buddha, and my soul, that once in summer 2005, me and one of my male cousins, as well as my brother had gone to Papa Joe's together, and my cousin, noticed that some girl was checking me out there, and he said to me, "That girl over there was checking you out. You didn't think she was cute?" And I also will say one more thing, which is that I swear to God, Jesus, Allah, Buddha, and my soul, that I remember that way back in ninth grade, in ninth grade, there were two South Asian girls on my bus, and and their names. The first one, her name started with the letter S, and the second one, her name started with the letter J, and then and the one whose name started with the letter J liked me, and the one whose name started with the letter S, whose first name started with the letter S, possibly may have liked me, I think. Anyway, I remember both of them used to stare at me and look at me, and they both used to talk about me with each other, as well as some of their other female friends. And I also swear to God, Jesus, Allah, Buddha, and my soul, that I remember that way back in ninth grade, a very attractive and popular girl used to like me in ninth grade, and I also used to like her in return. And I also swear to God, Jesus, Allah, Buddha, and my soul, that I remember that way back in ninth grade, I had a very very cool, very nice, very smart, great all around guy, guy as a math teacher for both semesters. And I also remember that in his classes there was a female assistant teacher for each semester. And I also remember that during the time period in ninth grade first semester, I had a very nice female teacher for science class. And I remember that this math teacher, this male math teacher from both of my semesters, as well as the two female assistant teachers from his math classes, as well as the female science teacher, the female science teacher from first semester, all used to say Anurag is so cute to each other. I remember this because I have a great memory and also I have a great hearing. Now I'll show my first screenshot and explain it to my viewers. The first screenshot is from one of my male cousins. By the way, this male cousin is not the same person as the cousin from the screenshots, about me remembering, you know, about proving my memory. He's not the same cousin, who I talked about, Avril Lavigne, and he's not the same cousin who noticed, who I went to Papa Joe's with in summer 2005. This cousin is someone else. Anyway, I swear to God, Jesus, Allah, Buddha, and my soul, that this cousin of mine, noticed me being a nice looking guy in ninth grade, I think. And I also remember that once way back in 10th grade, sophomore year, we were once walking with each other outside, and I swear to God, Jesus, Allah, Buddha, and my soul, that this cousin, and from the screenshot, and I were once walking outside in 10th grade, sophomore year. We were walking outside, and he told me, like, you should get your haircut to the left, it would look good on you. I think he meant to say, like, you should get a stylish haircut, as it would look good on you. And then in 11th grade, he wrote this comment on my wall saying, interests woman, nice player. And this was in 11th grade. In fact, you have to wonder why all people not connected to each other, were doing this kind of stuff to me. Because I'll say one thing to my viewers, which is that from January 2005 to June 2006, you know, a lot of people not connected to each other were giving me all kinds of attention. It was mostly in person, but also sometimes online. And there was, I remember that during this time period, people used to come up to me and say that you're cute, or they used to say that they used to call me player, or they used to tell me this girl likes you, or sometimes the girl herself used to come up to me and tell me she likes me. And even from 10th grade to 12th grade, this kind of stuff happened to me sometimes. And as I said, I was getting this kind of attention quite a lot from people not connected to each other. And and most of it was from January 2005 to June 2006, but it was also sometimes from 10th grade to 12th grade. And most of it was in person, but also sometimes online. And I also will say one more thing, which is that I swear to God, Jesus, Allah, Buddha, and my soul, that I remember that way back in ninth grade, second semester of science class, three girls once wrote me a love letter on Valentine's Day. And now I'll show another screenshot proving stuff. This next screenshot is from another guy. He went to school with me. He was a very cool and popular guy at my school. And he was a nice kid. Anyway, he was. I swear to God, Jesus, Allah, Buddha, and my soul, that that this guy once used to know about a very attractive and popular girl liking me in ninth grade. I'm not sure if he still remembers this, but he once used to know about it, and I think for that reason he once wrote this suggestive comment on my wall, on my birthday in 2011. He wrote. You probably figured out what he says. It wrote TI, then ends in S, and then it says MC and ends in S. You probably figured out what this suggestive comment is, and I think he wrote that comment on my wall once, in 2011, because he used to know about a very attractive and popular girl liking me in ninth grade. And and I will show more screenshots. This next screenshot, is from another guy. He went to school with me too, and he told me that way back in 11th grade, I was number one on some girls' iFlirts thing, something called iFlirts, and I was number one on some girl, or maybe girls' iFlirts thing, and he told me that two girls from the dance and cheerleading team were talking about it. So, so and if you didn't see this last screenshot better, I'll show better, more close up of the last screenshot if you didn't see it better. So you have to wonder, why is it that all these people not connected to each other were doing this kind of stuff to me, both in person as was also online, because I remember from January 2005 to June 2006, a lot of people not connected to each other, were giving me this kind of attention, mostly in person, but also sometimes online. And this included people at my school, included my friends, it included other people at schools. It also included my family members, my relatives, and teachers, and sometimes even strangers. And this was mostly from January 2005 to June 2006, but even from 10th grade to 12th grade, 10th grade to 12th grade, people not connected to each other were giving me attention, this kind of attention, mostly in person, but sometimes also online. And when it comes to the online screenshots, from the past. I saved three screenshots like this, where I showed from the past. The last three screenshots that I showed to my viewers were from the past. The one from one of my male cousins, as well as from that pop cool and popular guy writing that suggestive comment on my wall. And as well as this screenshot is all are from the past. Which saved. But there were other times too when people not connected to each other wrote this kind of stuff to me online, as well as about me to each other online. Sadly, I did not save those other screenshots. Had I done so, it would have given me more proof, better proof, about things. I sometimes wish that I had saved more screenshots, from the past, then it would have given me even more proof about things. And so you have to wonder, is why is it that all these people not connected to each other but were giving me all this kind of attention? I mean, why were these people not connected to each other giving me this kind of attention? What could be the reason? And you can also even ask people around, so if you know people, in fact, if you know people from my school, then ask them things around, ask people from my school if they remember any girls liking me and or showing interest in me from January 2005 to sometime in May 2009, which for me was from second half of 8th grade to 12th grade. And ask those people, if they recall this kind of stuff, if they recall any girl liking me and or showing interest in me during this time period. And ask those people to swear to their God and their soul, so that way that they're telling you the truth. So if they're like a Muslim, then ask them to swear to Allah. If they're a Christian, then ask them to swear to Jesus. If they're like a Buddhist, then ask them to swear to Buddha, and so on. And you can also ask people if they remember me either being a nice looking guy and or having something interesting going about me. In fact, ask people, people who have known me since at least 2005. This includes people like my friends, people at school, and also includes my relatives and family members, and other and other people who have known me since at least 2005. Ask those people if they recall me either being a nice looking guy and or having something interesting about me from January 2005 to June 2006. And ask those people to swear to their God and their soul, so that way they're telling you the truth. So if they're like a Muslim, then ask them to swear to Allah. If they're a Christian, then ask them to swear to Jesus. If they're like a Buddhist, then ask them to swear to Buddha, and so on. Because you have to wonder why all these people not connected to each other would give me this kind of attention for 4.5 years. From January 2005 to May 2009, I was getting this kind of attention. Most of it was in person, but also sometimes online. I mean, most of it was from January 2005 to June 2006, but some of it was also from 10th grade to 12th grade. By the way, I'm sorry for for I do have a stuttering problem, and I'm sorry about that. And I also sometimes get anxiety problems when I speak, and I'm sorry about that. Now I will show one more thing, which is that from January 2005 to sometime in 2006, from second half of 8th grade to ninth grade, sometimes people even used to stare at me like this, sometimes with intensity like this. On few occasions, people even used to stare at me with intensity like this. And now, one thing that really goes against me is that I sadly did not take any good pictures or videos of me during this time period. I did not take any good pictures or video of me from January 2005 to June 2006, and even from 10th grade to 12th grade, I sadly did not take any good pictures or videos of me during this time period. By good pictures and good videos, I mean pictures, of you from good angle, good lighting, good camera, good mirror close up, good selfies. And I think I did not even have taken any good videos of me during this time period. And this was mostly from January 2005 to June 2000, sometime in June 2006. But even from 10th grade to 12th grade, when this kind of stuff was happening to me, I think I did not take any good picture or video of me during this time period. And this really goes against me. And I will show my viewers what I mean by this. You see this picture here? The guy in the middle, in the gray suit holding a cigarette in his hand. He's actually a very famous and a popular Indian actor. His name is Shah Rukh Khan. You can look him up. He has messy hair here. And also his eyes are, I think, closed here, I think. And he doesn't look so great. In fact, but in the next two pictures I will show of him, he looks much better. Anyway, this guy is a very famous and popular Indian actor. He's actually the second richest actor in the world. His name is Shah Rukh Khan. You can look him up, SRK. Anyway, in the next two pictures, he looks better. And by the way, this picture is not taken from the best angle, best lighting, or best camera, or and it's not even a good selfie mirror close up or anything, so he doesn't look so great, but he looks better in the next two picture. Yes, I personally, think that he's not the best looking guy, but when he was young, a lot of people, including even a lot of girls, did think that he was either a nice looking guy and or that he has some interesting stuff going about him. back then. And I think even today, many people think about him like this, I think. And even now, I'll tell my viewers one thing, which is that if some of my viewers are still not convinced about things, then I will say one thing, which is that I swear to God, Jesus, Allah, Buddha, and my soul, that I still remember that from January 2005 to sometime in June 2006, many people not connected to each other either thought that I was a nice looking guy and or that I had something interesting going about me during this time period. And I also swear to God, Jesus, Allah, Buddha, and my soul that I still remember decent amount of girls either liking me and or showing interest in me during a certain time period during school days. And and I will say one more thing. If some of my viewers are still not convinced about things, then I will say one thing, which is that as far as my religious beliefs are concerned, I am not a Christian. I am not a Christian. My beliefs are something else. But I do know that in Christianity, the Holy Spirit is very sacred, and you can never offend it. If you do so, then you can never be forgiven. So I will say one thing, which is that if some of my viewers are still not convinced about stuff, then I will say one thing, which is that I am willing to take an oath. I am willing to take an oath to the Holy Spirit if allowed to. So if allowed to, then then only then I'm willing to take an oath to the Holy Spirit if allowed to, about about still recalling me either being a nice looking guy and or having something interesting going about me from January 2005 to sometime in June 2006. I'm willing to take an oath to the Holy Spirit about this only if allowed to. And I'm also willing to take an oath to the Holy Spirit if allowed to, about decent amount of girls either liking me and or showing interest in me during a certain time period during school days. So that was my video for now. Thank you for watching my video. If I made any mistakes, then I will point that out in the comments section. Bye now.